Hey everybody, Alex Kazor, SteelersDepot.com back for another Pittsburgh Steelers analysis and review of their finally completed 19-14 win over the Baltimore Ravens. Pittsburgh moving to 11-0 on the year, although it was not exactly a pristine win over Baltimore, clearly. And if you listen to Mike Tomlin's post-game press conference, I don't think you've ever heard, I don't think you'll ever hear Mike Tomlin so disappointed, which is the word he used, or frustrated after a win like the Steelers had Wednesday over Baltimore. So let's recap what happened in this game. And overall, it was just a very sloppy performance. It was Steelers beating Steelers, and that was something we outlined in previous videos on the podcast and just previewing this game in general. That just could not happen. You could not have Steelers beating Steelers if you didn't have your own mistakes, if you didn't have turnovers and drop passes and struggle in the red zone situational football. You were going to win this one fairly convincingly, even after finding out right before kickoff that Marquise Pouncey was not going to play because he's on the reserve COVID list, and that forced J.C. Hassenauer to make his first career start at center. Clearly, even after that, Pittsburgh had the better roster. They had their starting quarterback, for example, and hypothetically, had the Steelers played this type of game against the Ravens, who had a full deck of Lamar Jackson and Mark Andrews, etc., Pittsburgh's not winning this game. So it was, from very early on with Ray McLeod's muff punt, which should have been fair caught. You can blame Justin Lee for not doing a good job as the jammer, and that's a fair critique. McLeod has the fair catch that one. Steelers were terrible in the red zone to start. They were 0 for 3 to begin with. They turned the football over twice in that game. Had a couple other fumbles that could have nearly cost them. You knew Baltimore was going to be aggressive and attacking and go after the football, and it just Pittsburgh was not able to respond to it. Several drops, including ones on third down in the red zone by many players, by Eric Ebron, Chase Claypool, Juju Smith-Schuster, Deontay Johnson was particularly, I thought, brutal with his hands and ball security. Just overall, a very sloppy game. The run game was not effective early on. It was better at the end of the game. I thought Benny Snell actually did an okay job overall in terms of just knowing who he is as a back and running to his style, getting downhill, pushing the pile. But obviously, the run game overall was not that successful. So a lot of sloppiness. Obviously, defensively, you allow that big chunk play, 70-yard touchdown to Hollywood Brown. Terrell Edmonds took a really bad angle on that play. You can't get the guy down. That's made this game competitive and very nervous in the last couple minutes, which these games always seem to go for the Pittsburgh Steelers, especially versus Baltimore. But yeah, I mean, just a lot of Steelers beating Steelers, and that is, as Tomlin said, very disappointing and awfully frustrating. And defensively, I mean, things were pretty good defensively. Obviously, they didn't have great, perfect run defense. RG3 had a couple of runs. There were some backbreaking gains on 3rd and 11, 3rd and 9. But overall, outside of the Ray McLeod fumble, Steelers only given up 7 points in that game until the 7-yard touchdown by Brown. So, I mean, the defense did overall what it was expected to do until very late in the game. And obviously, that play's not acceptable, the Brown touchdown. But there were certainly moments that were frustrating too, where you're getting gouged on some of these option runs and perimeter plays. We don't have the speed at inside linebacker to flow. And I thought Baltimore did a really good job of creating extra gaps in the run game by pulling some of the backside guys, backside tackle, backside guard, pulling the center occasionally as well, to give them extra gaps that force Pittsburgh to defend them. And they really kind of struggled with that. So, I mean, it's hard to get too mad about the defensive performance. Obviously, there's things to work on, but they overall did their job. I thought T.J. Watt, Kim Hayward, Joe Hayden with the pick six, of course, great job to trap that out route by the number two, the slot receiver, and house it the other way. Minka with that big break up at the end of the first half, but unfortunately, you got in a position where he gave up a couple of chunk plays and still did not play the level of run defense that you wanted to play. And a quick add-on I'll try to fit somewhere in this video just after recording this, and I should have mentioned it during the video itself. Bud Dupree obviously injured in that game. The report is now that Bud Dupree has likely believed to have suffered a torn ACL, which of course would end his season, which is a crushing blow for him personally. Playing so well these last 2 years, obviously, was going to cash in with Pittsburgh or more likely some other team in the offseason. Hopefully he still will, but yeah, that would end his season, and obviously a big blow to the Steelers' pass rush, run defense. Dupree arguably better run defender and edge setter than he is a pass rusher, and he's a very good pass rusher. A great duo with him and T.J. Watt. So Alex Highsmith's likely to step up in Bud Dupree's shoes at the right outside linebacker position. But yeah, a massive loss for the Steelers defense. And special teams was not perfect either. Chris Boswell missed extra point. The kick coverage was not great. They were trying to do, I guess, some short poocher pooch type punts, I guess, to try to test the Ravens, who hadn't, I'm sure, been practicing much on special teams. Probably had some new faces out there, but that wasn't great either. And then, of course, you had the McLeod fumble that was, obviously a killer very early in that game. So, yeah, just not a great one overall, but you are still 11 and 0. Just go back with Ben in the offense. It's that quick game. I mean, Ben's getting the ball out of his hands so quickly. These receivers are averaging under 10 yards a catch. Juju and Deontay average like 5 and 6 yards per reception. So it has kind of a very, and it's weird to say, I know, but like a Tom Brady vibe where this offense is very much three-step, ball is out. You kind of keep things moving. And Ben threw the football 51 times in a game the Steelers won, and he's now gotten 4 straight games throwing at least 40 straight times. And over the last 4 games, he's not been sacked once. So credit to the Steelers offensive line. Of course, credit to Ben because the philosophy is to get the ball out of his hand quickly. So there is some positivity there. Yeah, that crazy floater though at the end of the game that James Washington, thank goodness he caught. But yeah, that one my jaw dropped as Ben released that because I thought for sure that one was going to get picked. It wasn't. Steelers closed things out, but yeah, a wild game and obviously too close for comfort. So, short week here. We'll get you ready for Washington Monday at 5 p.m. Washington's an underrated team. They got a good defense. They got some playmakers on offense. That will not be an easy game, and Pittsburgh will certainly have to play a whole lot better on Monday to win and go to 12 and 0 than they did on Sunday to defeat the Baltimore Ravens. So, hopefully, I covered everything. We'll get some videos and recap of this game throughout the week. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below what your take on the game was. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll talk to you soon.